So as a little wrap up after going through all of the, component and parts and pieces exploration, explanations and explorations, just to review about what the deliverables are. Obviously, a money shot, a 3D front elevation, in perspective. It doesn't have to be Enscape rendering or Lumion. You can decide whether you want to add streetscape features or elements and contextualize it. In this case, I've got the storefront, but it's minimally detailed. You notice the moment frames are completely flush with the front. Shear wall assemblies, these could be covered with another material to coordinate, but I didn't spend a lot of time there. I really think a lot of the effort of this project is in the articulation of these individual facade modules in order to create an attractive overall finish for your building. Some of you may be inclined to curve it or really take the idea of modularity to an extreme, but I think there's a lot to be said for just the nuances and the detailing of the subtleties of each one of those modules, how they all coordinate with each other. Most of the time, we're really trying to take a simple type of construction and make it look as elegant as we can. And so our power is in the ability to work with these smaller details in elegant ways. You can imagine this glass, this stair tower. It has to be in every construction, but the articulation of this having a different surface to it. It could have no windows in it. It'd be a panelized system that becomes a great element, but it has to exist in all of these modular facades, so if it's expressed in a certain way. Also the end wall condition, what can happen there. As I've said, the front podium level or storefront facade, the activation of it, just the materiality that happens with that. None of these are absolutely required. As you see in this one, I've done very little beyond that, but that's places for you to explore and use your own creativity. Let's look at the next slide here. Obviously I want to see in the presentation the modules, your development of those, kind of a labeling of them as if you were going to have to explain these to clients. I've only laid out one floor plan. I guess I would expect us to make an attempt at one floor plan, but it's not necessary that we create a full layout or scheme for the whole building. To articulate the idea that it's modular, make it very quickly clear in our presentation what's going on here. So how the modules might stack up, how they might be hoisted and or rigged. We don't need to see a crane, but if you want to do that or some idea about that, that's fine. And then really important, once again, a reminder that we need this idea of our stair towers to work as egress and as or shear walls and as shear walls, addressing that idea of soft story issue that always would plague a multi-story building with a large amount of openings for store commerce activity, that activated storefront. Typically that creates that soft story, and our way of kind of dealing with that and addressing it. I think a money shot of the facade, once again, the idea that the details of this facade, and I could spend hours on this, this is just really a crude one, but, just showing you some basic ideas of materiality, articulation of elements. Imagine changing, these glazing elements, all kinds of ways that you can make this exciting without having to go too far from the basic brief of a standard, 28-foot by 8-foot module. And then the idea of mirroring the units. If you don't make that cantilever out, then you'd have to address that with construction of a hallway, which is fine. That's not a problem. But I think this shows how quickly you can make a very robust building with a whole lot of detail, leveraging a lot of the idea of model grouping in order to create this kind of complexity. And then, that next level is both this one, that idea of mirroring it over, and then the idea of dealing with, maybe more complex elements within the ceiling plane of lighting, HVAC, what the interior spaces might look like. And so I've done 7 slides. It would probably be likely that a lot of students will want to do more of the interior work. I think that this is a nice story to tell for a portfolio piece, so I would kind of keep that in mind. Just to show the kind of level of quick, 3 or 4 hour study work that you did and how much you got accomplished with it. So I hope you get a lot of enjoyment out of this project. And like I said, I'm really excited to see if by simplifying down the construction of the module, saving you time there, if that'll pay dividends with your ability to feel like you have time to explore other features or developments of things like the facade.